Today I'm going to show you a simple way to automatically turn on accessories like this air filter while your 3D printer is printing. This method will work with any 3D printer with zero modifications. Welcome back to Cloud42, I'm James. I uploaded a video for my patrons a few weeks ago about a large batch of ABS parts I was printing on my Bambu Lab machines. Someone asked me in the comments what I was doing about the fumes and particles generated when printing ABS, and I didn't really have a good answer. The truth is, I've been printing for years without worrying about it very much, just because my print volumes have been relatively small. Whether that's smart or not, those volumes have been increasing recently, and it's about time I did something about it. So I picked up some Bento Box air filters for all of my Bambu Lab machines, and then immediately got annoyed that I have to turn them on and off manually. So let's do something about that. If you're not familiar with the Bento Box, it's a two-stage air filter, or rather an air scrubber that goes inside the 3D printer. It's a design by Through the Frame that's distributed in all the usual places, and you can download all of the designs and print the parts yourself. But I actually didn't do that. I was lazy, so I just bought mine pre-printed from Voxel PLA. This is some kind of business partnership. The Through the Frame page points to Voxel, Voxel points to Through the Frame. I don't know exactly what their arrangement is, but it does mean that I can get it pre-printed with all the parts, the magnets, the threaded inserts in it, the fans, the power supply, and all of the media ready to go. So that's what I opted to do. The base unit here has a couple of 40mm fans, and these are configured to draw air in the top and blow it out the bottom. So that'll draw air down through the filter stack. The fans that come with the Voxel PLA kit have extra long wires, and I've just tied them together here so that they'll run off of the same 12-volt supply. And by the way, I have no affiliation with Voxel PLA. They didn't sponsor this. I paid full price for these. They don't even know that I'm doing this video. So the top segment of the filter is a HEPA filter. So the parts are just held together with magnets, and this filter is just a common vacuum filter that can be had from Amazon or AliExpress. These things are really cheap, like, I don't know, like less than $1 a piece. They're readily available, so it's a good choice for this kind of application. The part is designed with an opening that just fits this. It's kind of a friction fit and squeezes it in. There's a fuzzy material on the outside of the filter, so it makes a good seal. So the air is forced down through this as the first stage filtration to take out some of the particulates before the air continues on down. And helpfully, Voxel PLA inserted the magnets in such a way that they repel each other if you put this thing together wrong, which I thought was kind of a nice touch. The second stage filter is an activated carbon filter. So the outer case has this inner cartridge, and it's done this way so that you can get multiple layers of media and it's not all just poured in a single pile. The side snaps off of this, and you can see there are 3 separate compartments for the activated carbon media. Now this is an acid-free media. Voxel PLA sells this. You can buy it bulk or it comes in the kits. I'm sure you can source it elsewhere, but I just found it convenient to buy it from them. So I got what came in the kits, and then I bought a bag of it for cheap so I can replace this as it loses effectiveness over time. So the 3 shelves are separate, so that small amount that's in there spreads out, and you've got 3 layers that the air is being forced down through. Now the wires here attach to the power supply that's included with the Voxel PLA kit. This is just a little 12-volt wall wart, and as I brought it out here, it looks like I threw the screws out on the floor. There's one here that was still on the desk. The other one went all the way to the other side of the shop, but I found it, believe it or not. You just witnessed a miracle. Get the screw back in, attach the wires, and we can power this thing up, and I can show you how it works. Got a plug strip here, plug it in, and switch it on. If I can get my wires to behave. And there it is. Because the air intake on this is on the top and the outlet is on the bottom and is continuously circulating air inside the chamber, It will help to keep the air at a constant temperature, and also because the outlet's on the bottom, it's not going to blow on the print bed, so it shouldn't affect cooling of the parts or cause unnecessary curling. Physical installation of the printer is really simple. There's this little rib here on the bottom of the platform in the X1 Carbon, and I believe that's also in the P1S. And there's a notch in the bottom of the Bento Box base that just snaps onto that. There's actually a screw tab there as well, but I didn't feel the need to use it. And then it just snaps together and you can fish the wires out through a hole in the base. Now, integrating this so that it comes on automatically is quite a bit harder. I know on some printers there are extra outputs that you can use that you can control with G-code, but that's not really a readily available option on the Bambu Lab printers. They're relatively closed systems. I know some people have hijacked some of the fan outputs, like the part cooling fan, and hooked up the Bento Box to that, but then you lose some of the flexibility of having that part cooling fan separately controllable, and of course you have to deal with the fact that the circuits in the Bambu Lab machines are 24 volts, and the fans, at least the ones that came with this kit, are 12 volts. It's also possible to connect to the message bus in these printers over the network, and you might be able to build some automation that works based on that. And I assume there is or soon will be some way to do this with the X Plus firmware, but I really did not want to mess with any of that. I wanted something much, much simpler, and I wanted something that was non-intrusive, that did not require me to modify the printer. And from what I'm reading online, there are quite a few other people that are also looking for a simple solution to this problem. To actually switch the Bento Box fans on and off, I'm going to use a smart plug. I bought this one in a package of 4 from Amazon for less than $40, which is a pretty remarkable deal. These are Zigbee, so they'll work with my home automation system. I'm using SmartThings, but they'll work with, pretty much any other home automation system that you might have. There are also Wi-Fi versions of these plugs that will work with various cloud services, but I'm going to show how I'm going to do this with SmartThings. So I can just bring up the app, find the device, and switch it on. Now we get noise and airflow. And when we're done with it, just go back into the app, hit the button, and turn it off. That part's simple. What's not so simple is figuring out when to actually turn it on and off automatically. I'm going to go ahead and plug in a splitter here. I'm going to plug in this lamp. If you wondered why this lamp was sitting here on the bench, that's why this lamp was sitting here on the bench. That way you can very easily see when the fans are on and when the fans are off. To get information about when the printer is actually printing, we'll use another smart plug. And this one will be connected to the printer itself. Now, this will allow us to turn the printer on and off, but that's not the primary goal here. If we bring it up in the app, you can see that these smart plugs have another trick up their sleeve. If I turn the printer on, you can see that there is a power meter section here that is showing how much power is being consumed by the device connected to the plug. In the marketing materials for the smart plugs, this is referred to as energy monitoring, and you do need a smart plug with that feature in order to do what we're going to do here. Now, because we have the power consumption of the printer, we can use that information to guess what the printer is actually doing. So it's sitting here about 6 watts at idle, but if I come in and turn on one of the heaters, let's turn the bed up to, say, 50 degrees Celsius, switch that on, you can see that the power consumption jumps up to about 250 watts. So as soon as you start a print job and as soon as you power up that heated bed, the power consumption of the printer is going to jump up, and the smart plug will report that to SmartThings, and we can use that to create automation to know when to turn the Bento Box fans on and off. Now that I've switched the heater off, the printer is back down under 10 watts. 7.9 watts is just about where this printer sits. In fact, both of my X1 Carbons sit right about there when they're idle. But if we hit the homing switch here and power up the motors, you can see that the power consumption also jumps when the motors are energized. When the printer's just sitting here idle, the motors are normally not energized. You can just reach in and move the head around. but when it actually starts moving, it energizes the motors, and you can see that it's consuming a little bit over 20 watts with the motors energized. And this isn't just while they're moving, it's while the motors are actually energized and the position is being maintained. So when the printer starts moving, that will come on, the power consumption will go up, and then after the printer sits idle for some period of time, it'll go back down. I don't actually know how long that period of time is, but we actually do want the fans to stay on for a while after we're done with the print so that the filters can continue to process the air that's inside. For now, I'm just going to power the printer off and back on so that I don't have to wait. And when powering up fresh, we should be back down under 10 watts. There's 7.4, 6.4. I don't know how accurate this is, but it's always under 10 watts measured in all the tests that I've done. So let's make some rules to actually do the automation. Down here at the bottom, there's a routines tab. I'll click on that and click plus to create a new routine. So in the if clause, I'll remove the device that's there. And actually, I think that might have been the right device. We'll say if device status. We'll scroll down and find the device we want to use, which is the X1 carbon. Select that, and we want to select power meter, enter 15 watts, and select equal or above. So this rule will trigger if the power consumption is equal to or above 15 watts, which means the printer is actually printing. So then in the then clause, we'll remove that, and we'll add control devices. Scroll down and select the Bento Box power supply, and then set that to turn on. Click done, save this, give it an icon, and save the rule. So now we have a rule that will turn on the Bento Box if the printer is consuming more than 15 watts. Now we'll add a second rule to turn it off. Do the same thing. If device status, we'll select the printer switch, power meter, and this time we'll say 10 watts equal or below. So if it drops below 10 watts, this rule will trigger. Then we want to control a device. We'll select the Bento Box again and select turn off. So now we have a rule to turn the Bento Box on if the printer is consuming more than 15 watts, and a rule to turn the Bento Box off if it drops below 10. And that should be all we need to do. So the lamp is still plugged into the switch there. So if we go in here and turn on the heater, set that to 50 degrees Celsius, you can see the power consumption there of the printer jumps above 250 watts, and the fan and the lamp come on, which, amusingly enough, is exactly what we wanted. If I set this to 0, the power consumption drops. Give it a second here to drop under 10 watts measured. And everything turns off. That is exactly what we wanted. Well, it's sort of what we wanted. I'd like the fan to stay on for a while after the printer finishes, so we'll go back in and edit this rule. And in the if clause, if it's equal to or below 10 watts, and then we'll select for some period of time, set that to 30 minutes. And so now the rule won't activate to turn the fans off until the printer has been under 10 watts for 30 minutes or more. So that should accomplish what we set out to do at the beginning. Let's do a little test here and just make sure the motors will activate it just as a sanity check. Move to the right. It's warning me it should home, but the motors are active. We jump above 20 watts and it turns on the lamp. Now, of course, it'll take a while for the motors to deactivate, so this won't turn off right away, but even when it does, the fan's going to stay on for an extra 30 minutes because we put that condition in the rule. And that's it. I bought a whole pile of these plugs and I have them set up on all of my printers now. One other nice side benefit of doing that is that I can now remotely power cycle the machines. The AMS units on the Bambu machines tend to go a little goofy if you leave them alone for a while, like several weeks without talking to them, and sometimes it takes a power cycle to convince them to behave again. Sure, you could reach around the back and toggle the switch if you're in the room and if you don't have a bunch of them sitting on a bench side by side like I do. Now, I showed how to do this with SmartThings, but Every home automation system has features like this, and you might even be able to do it with standalone Wi-Fi plugs and the right services. If you've ever done anything like this on another system, tell us about it down in the comments. Thank you for watching.